I think you can't go beyond what you believe, So if you have a
Mhm.
limited belief in any area of your life, like whether it's how much money you can make, whether it's how big your business can get, whether it's how much time you have in your day, every time that you have a limitation on that belief, you're never going to go beyond it.
It's not crazy to have a thought about what you want, you're aiming, and then to try to execute on the thing you're aiming towards. Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And I've got my guest, Matt McDaniel, on from Roofle. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Doing fantastic.
We were just casually chatting, and I just started recording because we're talking about really good things, what were you just saying, Matt? About the hard times?
Well, I think you started talking about just the longevity in life and how you got to look at things in a bigger scales and how
Yeah, somebody on this trip we were just on a scuba diving trip, and somebody said out of every 10 years, there'll be 2 bad years, 2 great years, and 6 good years. And so to me, that just kind of calms me down, the 10-year mindset about like if there's something messed up, and you're saying it preps you almost.
Yeah, no, I look back at all the times that were challenging in my life, and they, without exception, were there to catapult my life forward in some way, whether that's growing emotionally, whether that was leading me into something, into circles of people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I do believe in some type of destiny in our lives, that we have some purpose that's greater than ourselves. And but yeah, those challenging times I cherish, and it sucks to go through them, but they're there to help build endurance, to build that tenacity, to be able to take on something much greater than you are at the current time.
And we were also saying something else very wise, which I think what was the other thing that you were saying? You're saying about when you're in the details to the degree that you're like micromanaging every little thing in your business, how
Yeah.
you can tell that's when like things multiply.
Yes.
And then when you zoom out and you kind of let the danger float by, like in our situation, we had the shark that was floating by, and we had to both like almost like not freak out right underneath the ocean. We had 8-10 feet away from us, there was a shark, and it was one of our first times going down and learning scuba diving. And why do you think that is? Why do you think
It's sort of like our mind. Um, it's almost like the way it operates and the way you open it. When you open it to certain things, you're allowing more to come in. So it's almost like a sink. Like when you turn on the faucet full, that water is going to come pouring in, and just all that pressure is going to keep mounting. So it's the same with our mind. When we start to pour in all these things about our business, pour in all the challenges at once, all the needs, our list keeps growing and growing. It's like you're going to get flooded. Your mind's going to get flooded. But if you're able to kind of turn it off and focus on what's the most important things, and it's not to say those thoughts aren't going to come by at some point, like that shark. It might swim by, and you're saying, I don't need to deal with that now. So I'm going to, make sure that I control my thinking and focus on what's actually fruitful in the moment. And it's I know it's challenging, but to keep that kind of clarity. Another way to look at it, and this comes from like an EOS system, I think, but it's like gravel. Yeah, if you want like practicality, gravel, rocks, and sand. We all have this enormous to-do list.
Yeah.
And what things on that list are rocks, and what things are gravel, and what things are sand. So if you were to put them in a glass, you don't put the sand first. You put the rocks first, and then you put it in the gravel, and then the sand just fills in all the gaps. And so the rocks might be this enormous project that you have to get done, but it's going to make an insane difference in your business, or it's going to, create that opportunity of growth that you need. The gravel is kind of, that next level of that. So just being able to focus on your rocks first. And this is one of my biggest mentors in life taught me this too, because I was terrible at prioritizing, and I'm a little bit ADD, so I'm very procrastinating on the bigger things. And I'm like, all right, I can get these done, boom, 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 boom. But these things don't mean anything, and they're not giving me any traction. They're not actually giving me any resolve in my business. And that might be like emails, going through your emails. That could just be your sand that you really don't need to worry about. And at some point, like I neglect emails too much, and I'm like, all right, I need to get to my sand because it can't be
But
all.
like the time, the overwhelm relates a lot to taking control of your time
Mm-hmm.
and probably scheduling some self-care, meditation, prayer, reading, whatever you have to do to kind of like calm the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not calm, then you make shit bad. So I was just trying to learn about transcendental meditation this morning, and it's not really that complicated. It's essentially based, you come up with a word, mantra, you say it over and over again, and you focus, and you kind of like let the other stuff go away. So it's not that complicated. It's not like a religion or anything. Transcendental meditation. And he was talking about it, is like, you literally get cortisol in your body, and it's happening all the time. And we actually think poorly when we have too much cortisol, when we're in fear, when we've got anxiety, when we're weighed down. And you have to find ways to let that go, to be a good leader, and to relax, and to not take your overwhelm and project it onto people and then cause more problems. And so to me, it's almost like a scientific fact. We have to figure out how to calm down as leaders and to let other people do their job. I'm starting to kind of come to terms with the fact that's like part of my new job as a person leading 30 plus people is like calming the fuck down, and then like letting the cortisol, finding ways to diminish the cortisol.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because a few years ago when we were starting off this whole journey with Roofle, and as a startup, bootstrap, trying to do something that's totally blue ocean, no one else is in the space, and we're trying to figure it out. We got to a certain point where it was the
By
amount
the
of
way, the thing that he's talking about is Roofle, Roof Quote Pro, which allows you to put an instant quote tool on your website that allows people to get roof quotes easily, and it's very beautiful and getting more and more functional. But we're not going to talk about that a ton. Just if you
yeah.
have it, if you don't have it on your website now, you're probably behind. So check out Roof Quote Pro by Roofle. Continue, excuse me.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, I mean, just during that journey, uh, and during that level of stress of like, having the expense burden of a normal construction company, having this discover or R&D, having development costs, having like, it was so overwhelming. I was actually getting panic attacks, which I've never had in my entire life, and I didn't even know what it was. But it just is induced by that level of stress, where your body will literally dissociate a little bit with your mind, because your mind, it's a defense mechanism where your mind has gotten so much cortisol, so much stress that your body literally has to detach itself, so it's not associating with that amount of stress to endure, so your body can cope and like still function. And I realized that I had to change. Like I could not just keep and like uh, allowing that much stuff just rest on me, and that there are things that I couldn't control, and that there's some things I just had to have faith and have to have my conviction to carry forward. And I
How
know
big
that's
was
very.
the Roofle team back then?
What's that?
How big was the team back then?
Similar size. Well, we at one point we grew immensely, and then we kind of scaled back and kind of had these like different sizes. Now we're at probably 35 employees now. That's just stateside, and we have an international team that's probably over 60. Uh, Back then, it was a little bit smaller, but we were just doing so many different things, trying to find, that trying to really find the pain points to resolve, and trying to get through this whole digital process and pioneer this whole experience. And it was difficult. It was not easy.
You seem like a pretty calm guy now, so you
Yeah.
must have gotten through some transformation.
No, and that's what's interesting is I could say today without question that the amount of responsibility, the amount of work, the amount of complexity and the problems that we're solving is greater than it was when I was going through that. But the fact that I went through that and I was able to understand what's happening to me physiologically, why it's happening, where is this coming from, how can I get control of my thinking, how can I like put checks in place to not absorb so much stress. Uh, and over time it was a progression. It wasn't like one day I just woke up and was like a new person, but it was a constant, you know, adjustment of mindset. Really, it's your mind is so powerful and it has so much imagination, and it works both ways. It's a double-edged sword, and your mind can imagine such great things that you can accomplish and that you can achieve, things that are, you know, extraordinary. And you have to be able to think that if you're going to go to those places. But your mind can also create huge enemies in your own mind, or it can create these big, you know, and that's a fear-based mentality. And I had a really good teacher one time. This is an aside, but what he did was he blindfolded one of his students, and he would have this box, and everyone in the class could see what was in the box, but the person with the blindfold could not see what was in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the exercise was this person had to go and reach into this box blindfolded, trusting that whatever was in there wasn't going to harm them. And the exercise is about how the imagination can create these monsters, you know, create this enormous enemy in our mind. And it's all based on fear. And the reality is it doesn't even exist. It's not even there. It's a stuffed animal in that box, you know. But the fact that our uncertainty and our mind can like create these embellishments that are so great. It's the same with our business, you know, challenging.
I've heard in therapy it referred to as catastrophizing.
Yeah,
Unnecessarily making things into possible catastrophes, because I don't
right.
know what it is. I think it's our desire,
Almost
our
like
brain's desire
first.
for story. I think we like story. We like our brain will make up a monster even if there isn't one, because it makes life more interesting, and we crave story, I think. I don't know. That's just one thought.
I look at it as almost like a generational inheritance of a mindset that you need to break, that you need to reshape. That whether it's from your, you know, genetics, from your upbringing, from your exposure, the people you're around, everything that cultivates your mindset, that it can actually contain almost, you know, in a spiritual sense, like a curse. You can be blessed or cursed. Where if you think a certain way over and over and over, you can call it like as catastrophe, but like you're actually creating. You know, we won't get into this whole like manifestation thing, but if you're actually creating that door, you're opening that door for those catastrophes to actually occur. You know, and it's not like a scientific one-to-one, but there is something about how you think and the reality that's in your own thinking, actually kind of coming into existence and into your work. I don't know what that's called. I know there's like a whole thing on that, but
Attraction, the law of attraction.
yeah, law of attraction kind of thing.
Law of
You know,
attraction. I think all this is real, so I think any like drama, there's dramatization around it that's not real, but I think that there's real. It's indicating a real thing, right? Like people are talking when they talk about the law of attraction. You could just look at that as like, you know, when somebody says your name across the room in a crowded room of people talking, you hear it. That's kind of like, that's because your brain is attuned to certain things, and you're more likely to see it, and then you're more likely to like go to it, right? It's the same with law of attraction, where it's like if I've been doing this thing in the morning where I do my vision, a 10-year vision, and I imagine myself. It's from Buy Back Your Time. I like imagine myself in a big comfy chair. I imagine 10-year vision up on the screen, and I everything's happening like, you know, our big new office. We own a building at that point, so that's cool. And like there's things happening, and the way I'm like conducting myself around people is like it's more like strong, and I'm like smiling, and I'm looking them in the face, and I'm like there's inspirational moments and there's laughter and all these positive things, right? And then I get up and I go and I step into the screen, and then I start to feel the details more vividly, the smells, the tastes, the sounds. And I imagine all the different components of my future house and all these different things. But to me, I try to like make it so at the end of this, I go, what can I execute on? That's from this 10-year vision. What can I execute on? So to me, it's not crazy to have a thought about what you want, you're aiming, and then to try to execute on the thing you're aiming towards. That's to me law of attraction. And I just described like some woo woo shit probably to some
Little
people. They would
boo
call it,
boo. It's funny that you know that term because I was just in
yeah.
Sedona and somebody was like, "Oh, you guys are into the boo." I had no idea
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that
yeah.
was.
I'm into the woo woo shit. Come on, man. Where are we going?
RoofCon is definitely the best conference I've ever attended, and I've been to several. We go to several every single year.
I bought the tickets. I said, we're going.
This year they broke 5,000 tickets, so it's growing bigger and bigger every single year.
If you're not here, I don't know where you're at.
Definitely coming back 2024. See you then.
RoofCon, the #1 conference for the roofing and solar community, is coming back to Orlando, October 23rd through 25th, 2024. Get your tickets today at roofcon.com.
You know, you're believing in your faith and the things you put your faith in. But you're never gonna like think every day that you're gonna be some space alien, and then one day all of a sudden you're gonna be a space alien. Like there's obviously some limits to the law of attraction. You can't just
It's usually like you want to pivot from where you currently are. Like you don't want to be so far away from where you currently are. And like
but
I also wanted to be a rock star when I was young. I wanted to be a rock star, but I don't constantly think about that. I think about something that's a few pivots away from where I currently am. And I move towards
that. Might happen as you get older and as you start to get a grasp of what is actually realistic. But I think you can't go beyond what you believe. So if you have a limited belief in any area of your life, like whether it's how much money you can make, whether it's how big your business can get, whether it's how much time you have in your day, every time that you have a limitation on that belief, you're never going to go beyond it. So if you believe that you can only make $100,000 a year, like you're never going to make $150,000, So like we always put these limits on ourselves. We do this sometimes subconsciously. We do this sometimes consciously. And a lot of times those limitations are things that we inherit. So it's things that maybe we had an experience when we were younger and someone said this and it stuck to us, stuck in our head. And now it's like, it got so rooted in who we are that is limiting who we are. And that's what I'm talking about. These like curses is like sometimes people will say things or things will happen to you in your life. And that instantly becomes a lifelong crutch or limitation that we put on ourselves. And you have to be able to like cut that off and like find it at its root and cut it off so that you can get past it.
I have an example. Hollywood loves talking shit about rich people. And I don't know why they do, because they're all rich. It's weird. But they like set up this straw man business guy who's kind of a piece of shit. And then he's mean to everybody. And then, it makes you hate business people growing up. I think I had a picture of anyone who's successful in business that they actually were kind of evil. And I think that was one that was very strong for me, a frame that I had to break. And one of my favorite ways to break that frame is by hanging out with really good people that a lot of times donate a fuck ton to charity and do really good things. And they're really nice and good people, but they also have done well in business. And that was one reason, like, I was so excited to go on that trip that we went on because, like, I feel that way towards Joe Hoffman, that works with you at Roofle and SMA Support Services, shout out. And then Ty Cobb Backer behind the tool belt and TC Backer Construction, that they're both good guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they're nice people. And, like, that is, like, that breaks. If you hang out with people like that, it breaks this old curse frame that you've got in your brain that Hollywood tried to program us with, or whatever. I don't know how it works, but it feels like we're programmed to think those people are evil. And like then when you hang out with really really nice people that make a lot of money, it's like, you know what? I can break that frame, because if I had that in my head, that's like a limiter. It's like a governor on
Yes,
like a golf cart.
Lord. It's like a lord over you, lord's over you. And
Exactly.
it's
So,
a
and then other things that you've done, because it sounds like you went through this transformation. Can you talk to me about any other tools that you have in your tool belt for staying calm? And so I want to talk about tools for staying calm, and then I want to talk to how this could lead to mastery. Because from what I mean, we didn't start off with your street cred, Matt, but like to me, you're a brilliant designer, a brilliant like tech entrepreneur, and you're innovating in roofing more than almost anyone that I know. So what I'm trying to understand is how could some of this lead to the mastery that you guys are seeing in your business now? But first, any tools, specific tools for being more calm, because it sounds like that's a big part of why you believe you're doing better now.
yeah. And to go back the whole like mindset that people that are better off than you or have some inherently evil or some wickedness to them. That's there, and that's totally false. And I went through that same mindset. I was a server, like at least a part-time for over 10 years. I did it a lot when I was young, and then I was trying to get into a career, I did it part-time. And I had that mentality because I saw all these people going out to eat constantly, and when I was literally serving them, and you just get this kind of callousness where you feel like, oh, there's this group of people that I'm not a part of. So you're instantly putting yourself in an opposing group to these people that are successful. And that's the first step, is to recognize that like they're no different than you. These are just people, and like don't put them, in this higher tier than you. So anyways, but going back to being calm and
Right, yeah, I want to make sure we cover a topic in totality. And to me, it's how being calm can lead to mastery. That's kind of what we're talking about. So I'm summarizing and creating a title in my brain while we're doing this conversation. And to me, I wanted to hear a little bit more of the tools that helped you be calm.
Yeah, and it's probably very personal to me, but if anybody can take it, that's definitely a plus. But for me, for one, it had to do with just enduring a lot of adversity in life, having a tremendous amount of challenges, and doing those things really on my own, and with, I've said I'm a man of faith, so being able to trust on God to get through those times, that to me was pivotal in my whole journey of being able to become a man, being able to have this confidence, and being able to have a sound mind. And that goes to the next tool, is being able to think about what you're thinking about. A lot of times people don't understand that we have this inner man, we have this inner person, that we have this inner monologue, and we need to understand where our thoughts coming from, what thoughts are my thoughts, and what thoughts are coming from the outside that are trying to impress on me. Like, who am I actually? And the easiest way to understand, like, who is that voice, or who is that person, who are you really? We can do an exercise right now, actually.
Let's do it.
So what is this in my hand? What am I holding?
Phone.
It's a phone. Okay, so you said that out loud. It's a phone. All right, now do it the same thing on 3. You're going to say it, but you're not going to say it out loud. What is this on 3? 1, 2, 3. So that person that you heard, that it's a phone, that's you. That's actually you that's speaking. Now see, when thoughts come in, it's not always you that thought is. So you just have to be able to get deeper with yourself to understand your own thinking. That's a really, really difficult thing to do, is to look inwardly. But if you can master that, then you'll be a master over your own mind. You'll be a master over your own thoughts. And the tool to use is called renewing your mind, so that anytime a thought comes in that's not fruitful, or that comes to attack you, whether it's like shame or guilt or heaviness or all these things that, don't dwell on it. Don't receive that. Don't accept it, but turn that thought and cast it out and renew your thinking. And you renew your thinking towards something that is serving you or serving others or is beneficial or positive. And so, and the more that you practice that, the easier it becomes to where now a thought comes in that normally could have threw me off for half a day, gotten me angry, gotten me concerned. Now it's like literally instantaneously, I don't accept it, to where I'm guarded at all times. My mind is guarded that I'm not accepting these thoughts that are going to essentially control my behavior,
What I refer to that as sometimes, Matt, and I'm in like a recovery frame kind of thing, but as like being spiritually fit. You like how like, and I for me, meditation and actual fitness are like both big parts of like me being somewhat spiritually fit as well. That's for me.
For sure.
For you, how much time of the day, because I'm guessing you really do think, like you pray, you meditate, you read or whatever, how much time of the day are you committing to that on average?
And I try not to be too, I guess, compartmental with my spirituality. At least with my business, I'm very like organized and OCD, and like things are laid out. With my relationship with God, it's much more organic, and it does help to say, okay, in the morning I need to like focus, but it's much better if every time I'm engaging, it's genuine and it's not forced. It's not just based on a time schedule. So I don't necessarily have like a set time, set schedule, but it's generally throughout the day. I'm acknowledging, I'm spending maybe a few minutes here or there in prayer, or I'll even pull up a verse and do like a word study on a scripture that I think is relevant of something I'm thinking. And it's amazing how much synchronicity comes in through the day of like, hey, I'll be thinking about this issue or problem in my business, and I'll turn, I'll ask God, I'll say, okay, what do I do in this situation? And then, the answer might not come right then, but later in the day, I might hear something or I might see something, and it directly reflects a scripture that basically tells me this is the answer. Like, there's no way that I could have possibly gotten that kind of answer and confirmation that was so clear. But you have to be very in tune, I think, and to be in tune, you have to have, again, you have to lend your thoughts to the supernatural. You have to lend your thoughts to things that are beyond, just what you can see. It's not just about feeling too, because the feelings are very finicky. They can trick you.
And I think, like for instance, like for me back, was really so. I don't want to make this into a therapy session, but I will say I did go to like Christian college and stuff like that, and I was also I hadn't dealt with my alcoholism, so I ended up kind of skewed my thinking because I was sober for a while, but I was being drawn to this other stuff. And then I felt like some of it didn't work because I was trying to fix it with that. And I just needed a group of people to I needed AA is what I needed. So I wasn't able to but now I feel very open and I want to be more in tune with spiritual things. And I think that I want that to be an inflow. You know what I mean? I don't want to block off things that just aren't like exactly what I'm calling it right now. You know what I mean? But I do feel like I get good things from those avenues. And for instance, were you down on the beach with us? We did sound bath.
I missed that.
If you didn't, you missed out, bro. Literally at the end of it, by the way, this, it was just basically connect with the earth type things. And it was beautiful. And the sun was shining and she was talking about God and it was beautiful. And it was incredible. It was vibey. Felt good because the sound is kind of like ASMR a little bit with the crazy stuff. And then at the end, we kind of came to, and there's all these sparrows
Mm.
Like, and I'm probably normal on the beach. I have
Right.
no idea. But like they were like flying around us in like a circle. Like what? Like I was like, this is
The thing is like when you
wild.
get when you start to observe or start to get to that place where you believe that there is more to what we see, what we encounter, it becomes so much more of a fascinating, curious, interesting life. And that alone is such a motivator. When you're getting up and you're just like have no direction, have no purpose. But when you get up and you're like looking at things through that lens where everything is kind of has its own beauty and everything is fascinating and you're still learning and there's curiosity for how things work and you're trying to connect these dots, maybe some of them are not there. Maybe you're, but that
Yeah,
that
that's the thing people get scared of. Is like, am I going to be imagining things that
yeah, there's a
are
balance.
accurate or whatever? But that's the thing is like, from my point of view, a lot of that comes from people imposing their spiritual thing on other people versus like you experience it naturally. Then if you connect a few dots that aren't there, you're not hurting somebody because hopefully you have people in your life that will tell you, hey, that's that one's not right. You gotta, especially if your voice or whatever stuff is telling you to do things that aren't ethical or kind or whatever. So, but I want to. I know we've been off on a little bit of. It's been a lovely tangent. Talk to me about how the spiritual alignment that you've had and the things that you've learned, and even how the adversity that you've gone through that's informed your calm that you have now has led to more mastery in your business. How did these things? You told me earlier a little bit around like sometimes it feels like those things are competing. The alignment and business sometimes feel like they're competing, but where has it been helpful in the mastery of work? Like what are the things that you've been learning helps you be better at the stuff that you're doing at Roofle?
This is where it probably gets even more personal, but you know, just having a purpose that's beyond the business itself, I think is one of the biggest things. That I'm not doing this just to succeed or just to try to spark a literal change in an industry, or and there's obviously a ton of value and benefit of like accomplishment, and there's all these like feelies of going from literally nothing to like building a business of this size, and like the amount of people involved, like that itself, the journey itself is such a reward. But to have kind of this goal that you're driving towards that's beyond the business itself, and for me, it's being able to serve God in a way that's far greater. We don't have to get into the details, but
No,
to
yeah.
be able to have the resources, to be able to have the network, to be able to have the time, the freedom, and also the capacity of all the things I've learned, and use those to do something that's beyond just the business that we're building. And I don't know when that's going to occur. I don't know, but that is like, it gives me this like, it's like a propeller that's like keeps me going towards like this, something. And it's almost like an abundance mindset too, of like now I know in my heart that this business venture is, since I'm pouring everything into it with this understanding that I'm going to serve later. It's like I feel like all these doors keep opening and all these things keep happening that are almost difficult to explain. It's almost like impossible that it's anyways.
No, I love that. Did you ever watch the documentary Euro Dreams of Sushi?
No, sounds pretty good though.
You should definitely watch it, Matt. You will love it. So it's JIRO Dreams of Sushi. It is the one. I don't like to recommend movies where I don't think there's a lick of English in it. I think it's like subtitled, but it's this man who dedicates his entire life to sushi, and to the degree that his obsession is so intense that but he doesn't think of it like work. Like in Japanese culture, the word to describe it is shikunin. it means craftsman or artisan. It implies commitment to personal improvement, social consciousness, and never settling. But what I like about it is that bigger thing, like it's a social commitment. It's like I enjoy developing and then giving back to this thing that's much bigger than me. And when I'm making sushi,
Yep.
I have down to every tiny detail, which is like almost looks neurotic, but because the amount of love and community is present in every bite, and they get such delight from serving people in this way that they enjoy that level of presence and intensity in their work. And I think what I hear you describing is like shikunin and what's involving like your spirituality and a broader dream, I guess, and a broader like goal. What is the broader goal? Like, because
Yeah, and
I mean
no one teach you that. That's where you have to get really comfortable with yourself, because like, and everyone has different motivators and they're kind of pushed by different things. But when you're in that place with yourself and you're sitting there and you can push harder, or you can get more detailed, or you can, just kind of be casual and kind of let things go, like that obsessity or that kind of being a little bit nerd. What was the word you used?
Shikunin.
And
I think it's kind of a calm intensity, though. Like it's a calm intensity. Like I was working out with my trainer this morning, and he's like, relax into the like painful push. Like it's like you know what I mean? Like you can't clamp up, because we're talking about being calm, but calm.
It's like being overfilled, but it's like being content with all things, but also like wanting more. It's like being filled, overflowing, but also like not, not. It's like needing more, but also not needing at the same time. It's like,
what is the real dream here? What is? I want to wrap up with this, if that's okay with you. What is you talk about this bigger dream and vision, or you feel like compelled to make this thing?
I'm gonna keep that one between me and God, but
well, talk to me then about what your next few steps are with Roofle, because I know that you guys are working on some things now. So what are a few things that you've got going on with the tool that are like developing that you're excited about? And if you don't mind keeping it brief, I want to keep this one its own thing.
Yeah. No, we're still just innovating the platform. We're really trying to make it an even richer experience for the homeowner, which leads to better, more qualified leads. We're also really streamlining the whole process from lead to order, so it becomes a complete solution for the contractor, one that's both easily trainable and very consistent in the whole process, and also automated and wherever it can be. So that's a high level.
Like quick things that I know we're going to be talking about on a demo that will also be on this channel. There's Contractor Loan Pro, and really quick, easy, like easy button on your website for homeowners to press to get financing. And then I know that you guys are doing advanced quoting, make people's lives easier, save time, get rid of tire kickers. And then I know that the idea is that you guys are giving people more information. So if you haven't checked out Roofle in a while, check it out. They're doing like drill downs, so you can have the product with the key information, but then if you click it, you got this drill down with more information. These product developments are coming quick, and when you're working with the company that's making this for the first time, not the companies that are copying this poorly. JK. It's all positive. We're all going in the right direction. This is positive for homeowners and for you. The point is when you're working with the company that's doing the direct innovating, that's going to be, you're getting the stuff the first time, not a year later or whenever somebody else tries to copy it.
Yeah, what's nice too is we really listen to our clients and what they want, and the things that they're seeing. We can't build everything for everyone, but generally if there's a few clients that are seeing or requesting the same thing, we knock it out. Like we actually will build it into our platform. So it's a very user-based design cycle.
That's amazing. I love that, man. I'll love hearing. I know that for the purposes of this podcast, because it's for roofers, we're not going to go into the design cycle part of it, but God, I want to hear more about it. And maybe you'll give me a little bit of that in the demo, the design cycle of how you guys flow, because we're going to get an updated demo on this channel shortly. It might be on there now if you go check it out, but I'm excited to hear a little bit about that, because I want to pick your brain, Matt. I really do think you're a brilliant person. And so for me, that's just, there's a lot of brilliant people. You're just one of them. You're just one of those wonderful, brilliant people that we get to talk to sometimes. And I want to hear your thought process on that design cycle and why you guys do what you do. So we'll see that on the demo. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being on here.